All right, everyone, we're going to be doing our information session today where I'm going to be taking you through some exciting things that are happening at VC Lab, particularly with cohort 14. All right, so hopefully everyone can see the screen nice and clearly, and we'll get started taking you through what's going on with VC Lab in cohort 14. So if you haven't noticed, it's one of the best times in history, and I would argue it might even be the best time in history to start a venture capital firm. So most venture capitalists will say, hey, the dot-com era, which was like 1994 to roughly 2000, maybe even 2001, depending, but 2000 was pretty rough. So there was still a little bit of uh, excitement in the market in 2001, but by 2002, it was definitely over. But it was like an 8-year span. And, most experts agree that the dawn of the internet brought tens of trillions of dollars of value to the world. And I would argue right now that you have all that stuff of the internet, plus so much more. You've got AI coming, which is another tens of trillions of dollar opportunity. And the seminal companies of AI are being started right now. Okay, right this second. So, Nvidia is worth $2 trillion because it's like the picks and shovels of AI. And how much are the people that sell the gold miners picks and shovels worth? Well, it's not worth the entire market. It's worth a subset of the market, and it's $2 billion, $2 trillion. Okay, so just using that metric alone, which isn't a perfect metric for sure, but there's a lot of other ways to look at it that get to the same place. AI is a $10 trillion and above, probably tens of trillions of dollars market opportunity that's happening right now. So this is the second time that venture's been around when something that big is happening. And that's not it. There's all sorts of other things happening as well. And that's just in many ways the icing on the cake. So looking back, this time right now parallels the dot-com boom, is probably a bit more sane in some ways and equally large, if not larger, right? And by the way, we're in a period where valuations are depressed. Large companies are cutting people left and right. So more talent is entering the market. It's just, it's the perfect storm to be a venture investor right now. And we're here to help. Okay. We see the change is needed. Okay. Everything we're doing is broken. How do I know? Well, pine trees across the area where I live are all dying because of global warming. There are freak weather patterns. Like 10% of California is burned over the last few years. I can just keep going. Local, global, hottest temperatures on record, blah, blah, blah. We've gone the wrong way. We need to turn the ship. And we're going to turn the ship by smart, ethical investors backing passionate founders to make the world a better place. And ideally, they're backed by visionary limited partners who want to see this change as well. So what we're trying to do at VC Lab is to help these ethical managers to win, and not just win a little, okay? If the ethical, smart, caring venture capitalist is 5 to 10% better than the kind of homogeneous, non-geographically diverse, not diverse at all, frankly, old school venture capital firms are just a little bit worse than these next gen managers, then we have failed. Our vision is the next gen managers that care are 2 to 5 times better than their counterparts that don't care, right? We don't want to make you a good manager. We want to make you the best managers that have ever been in the business, okay? And I'll show you how we're going to do it. And it's working. Our managers are outperforming. All right. Because we give them such an insane competitive advantage that it would be difficult for anyone else to even remotely compare. It's like stones versus like power tools. It's like, oh, I'll get rid of that. Let me get my stone. And then someone has a power drill, right? So we're trying to be the power drill of venture capital to help you do things that were previously impossible. Okay. So, and it's completely free, right? So, and why is it free? People are like, oh, what's the catch? There is no catch. Okay. The world is on fire. We're the fire extinguisher. Okay. We don't want people to feel that they can't do something because it's too expensive, or they have to think maybe I need to pay. Forget it. You don't need to pay. You just need to go out there and make the world a better place. And we will do anything that we can to help you. The program's free, the community's free, the mentorship's free, and you're going to get the best suite of tools that humanity has made. So I'll talk to you briefly about the program. I want to talk about some exciting new initiatives as well. One thing about the program before we go too deep into it, we shrank it by a month. Not quite, but roughly a month. Okay, so it used to be a 4-month program. Now it's just like roughly a 3-month program. And here's an outline of it. And you'll see what's happened in month 4 is we found that sort of around the end of month 3, excuse me, that managers were mostly ready. And we're seeing in the past, it used to take people 6-10 months to close. Now we're seeing people starting in late 2023 and entering into 2024, about a third of each cohort is closing in roughly 3 to 5 months, right? With an average around 4. So a big chunk of the program is getting their funds live and in market in 3, 4, and sometimes 5 months. So we had this program continuing, but it would end and most people were already formed and done. So we said, okay, let's shrink the program a little bit because people are moving faster. Okay. And I want to talk a little bit about moving faster because this program is going to light a little fire under your tushy and you're going to move, right? Because look, if you deploy in 2024, let me take even a bigger step back. All of venture returns are correlated to vintage year. All right. This is like any research agency, any large limited partner, everyone in the world knows, who's experienced in venture capital, that venture capital returns are correlated to vintage year. And just to give you a sense of what that means, a good vintage year middle performing fund could be better than a bad vintage year top performing fund. Okay, so you could come in a bad vintage year, do everything right, get every winning deal, and you will perform worse on average than a middling firm in a good vintage year. And I think it's safe to say that whether it's 2023 or 2024, these are the banner vintage years for a long time. Like 2009 was a banner vintage year. Coming out of the cycle, you had all sorts of companies get formed. So it was really, really an awesome time from Uber and I'm having what's the company that shares all Instagram, all this stuff started in 2009, lots of stuff, Angel, blah, 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 lots of Founder Institute. So 2009 was just an amazing vintage year. And it's pretty clear that either 2023 or 2024 or both of them are going to be a seminal vintage year. So you don't want to go through a normal process, okay? A normal process takes you 18 to 24 months to get to a first close if you're lucky. Sometimes it can take 24 months or more. All right. Where does that put you right now? 2026, right? You'll miss the whole thing, right? So you gotta, like, reason we chunked a month off is A, people didn't need it, but B, you got to get to market. You don't want to miss investing right now, right? Like, you're going to miss the next Google. You're going to miss the next Meta, even though I don't love Meta. You're going to miss the next SpaceX, the next Tesla, the next eBay, right? You're going to miss the seminal companies. And those seminal companies, by the way, are part of the reason why those vintage years are so important, because it turns out, for whatever reason, that a lot of seminal companies get started in a short period of time, and we have the perfect conditions for that right now. So you want to get closed in 4 months. You want to get deploying capital in 4 months so you can take advantage of this once in a lifetime opportunity. And this, and in all seriousness, this may be the best time ever, forever, in venture, because AI is going to have such a profound effect on all facets of society that it can, in fact, and probably will dwarf the internet. All right. And we need ethical managers with principles to work on this stuff so that we get the best outcomes for humanity. Okay. So one of the things we're doing is introducing tracks, new tracks. We've had tracks for a long time. And tracks are like special interest groups in the program to encourage people to get better outcomes. So we're introducing, obviously, an AI track. Because again, we've had a lot of great AI funds come out of VC Lab, and we need more, because every single facet of human existence will be touched by AI. Okay, every white collar, blue collar, everything. All right. So the idea, and in fact, it's sort of table stakes right now for most technology companies coming out, that they have some sort of AI, but that there still needs to be dedicated AI funds at this point in time. And we're going to have a special track for you with other AI managers to share deals, share insights, and work on things that matter. Another big area is impact. Impact investors are fighting climate change, and they're actually generating some big returns. We're seeing some big outcomes coming now from impact. So we're going to have a impact track in cohort 14 for all the managers that really want to tackle some of the big challenges facing humanity around the degradation of our planet, around diversity and inclusion, around more female managers and more women managers, which I'll get to in a moment. So we really want to have a strong, and by the way, impact firms are already around 20-something% of the alumni, and depending on where you draw the line, because impact can include a lot of stuff, it could even be more, in the 30%. So we're laying down a track right now to make sure that we can help impact managers even more, because the time is now. In addition, we're looking for people who want to launch funding accelerators that write checks. Okay. For whatever reason, Techstars and a bunch of these firms made some mistakes, and they pulled out of tons of markets, Seattle, et cetera. So now Techstars only in a few cities, et cetera, et cetera. So these funding accelerators, which I would argue may have had some of the biggest positive impact on local startup ecosystems all around the world, having started a big accelerator myself, they're pulling out, or what, for whatever reason, and that's not good. So we're going to have an accelerator track to help. Now, in addition to these tracks, we also have a venture studio track, right? Venture studios are getting the best returns that we're seeing, in because the managers of these venture studios know exactly what they're doing. They're experienced. So they're bringing their expertise to bear, creating companies, getting markups. It's awesome. We also have an emerging manager track. So if you're working on Fund 2 or Fund 3, we've been helping these managers avoid setbacks and deadly mistakes. And I want to give you a sense. Fund 2 is not that hard, but Fund 3 is almost, so Fund 1 is hard. Fund 2 is a little bit easier, and Fund 3 is actually harder by quite a bit. And the things you do in Fund 1 and Fund 2 prepare you for Fund 3. So we said, look, we know what needs to be done to win on Fund 3. So we're going to launch this emerging manager track with a separate curriculum, et cetera, to help people on Fund 2 and Fund 3 break out of the emerging manager class, because once you get to Fund 4, you're what's called an established manager, and you can go after really big pockets of money like sovereign wealth funds, et cetera. So we're going to help everyone here that needs it on Fund 2 and Fund 3. But there's a little bit more, because as I mentioned earlier, we really want to see gender equality across the board in venture capital. Right now, we're about 30%. In some places like Africa, 40% of our firms have managing directors, or this most senior managers in a firm are women. But we want everywhere to be 40%, and frankly, everywhere to be 50%. We need the people who are backing the future of humanity to represent humanity, right? We can't have it be all white men in ivory towers in a bunch of select cities, right? It needs to be representative of everyone. And so we care about this deeply. We have lots of women on our team that help run these initiatives, and we want to see 50% of all managing partners, 50% of all partners, 50% of all principals, associates, and everyone to be women all around the world. And then then we can take this off. But until that happens, we'll continue to push and try. Now, we have a lot of really cool tools for you guys, okay? We've got really an unparalleled platform. And this is how not only do you get the training that's going to make you world-class, right? So you beat out, you go have training, and you're competing against another manager that doesn't have training, right? Because there's an LP, they may invest in a few funds, you come in and you have your stuff together, another LP or another GP comes into that LP, they haven't been through any training program, they don't know what they're doing, they made kind of an ugly deck, you're going to get that money. You're going to get that LP money, they're not. But more than training, we're giving you an unparalleled platform to win, and it's free, okay? So we've got a new learning management system. Niels, did you get that link by any chance?
You do not seem to have an account.
I know I do. I set it up, but it might be hard to find. So yeah. All right. I'm wondering how I can't show. It's so awesome. I might have one in cohort 14. Do you want to check? I think I might put it in cohort 14. So search cohort 14 for Adeo.
Okay.
If I can show this to you, I will. It's really awesome. It's got a beautiful new look and feel. And this is where you'll be doing weekly sprints. And before, it was kind of, it wasn't bad, but now it's really nice. It's beautiful. It's probably the nicest learning management system that I've seen. So you're getting like a brand new up-to-date learning management system. In addition to that, you're getting Decile Hub, which is we have 400 general partners on a waiting list to use Decile Hub, and we give it only to people enrolled in the program for free. So I'll show that to you in a moment. Then we have Decile Base, which is this AI knowledge base, which is insane. I've never seen anything like it. I'll show it to you in a second. And then we have some really cool AI advisor tools. So let's go through. I'll show you quickly Decile Hub, Decile Base, and I'll show you the AI advisor. So Decile Hub is, and I'll widen the screen here, is a full-fledged back office system for venture capital. You can see it on screen here. And it's got everything that DocSend does. It's got everything that DocuSign does. It's got everything that a CRM like Affinity does. And then it's got accounting and everything else built in, and it's free. Okay. So this is your dashboard. You have a fundraising pipeline. This is a demo account. So obviously I'm in here. And what you do is you manage people in a pipeline, LPs in this case in a pipeline. You can send them a pact. And let's say when they sign things, you can see, oh, this person signed a commitment letter to come into the fund. You can look at what they signed. You can see how much they signed for, 250,000. You can do the probability. And one of the really cool thing about it is you can automate everything. So when you send a pact, it says send an email to the person, then send a reminder. If they sign it, move them to closing. And all that logic and all of the template emails are set up for you already. So all you need to do is come in and edit the emails or use them as they are, whichever you want, and you got the full CRM set up for you right away. Beyond just fundraising, you have deal flow connectors, which are people that introduce you to deal flow and LPs. You manage your team here. So if you want to recruit a venture partner, an associate, you can do it here. I'll show you the AI in a second. It's got a whole DocSend capabilities, guys. So if you have, for example, you put a demo PowerPoint up, you can go in here and see who looked at what page for how long, right? So and then by the way, you can tell the system that if someone looks at the page, right, you may want to move them into a different stage of the funnel or whatever. So by having all these tools, digital signature, file systems, CRM, accounting integrated, you can do things that are just really cool. Like someone looked at my deck. I should move them in the CRM to looked at deck. Well, you don't have to do that manually anymore because the system knows when someone looked at the deck and you can just program it to move it, right? On top of that, we have some really cool forms. You can build your own forms. You could have someone sign a safe note right in the system, right? Legal forms. You could do forms that take people right into your pipeline. So you could send a form to I don't actually know what this form is because this is a demo account. Okay, so it's unfilled out form. So you make your form and the information from that form will go right into your pipeline. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but it's pretty cool. I guess I'll show one last thing, the back office. So you have all your fund information, how it's performing, etc. One of the cool thing about this is that you can't use normal accounting systems for venture capital funds because every single person here who's an LP has their own mini general ledger. And when you sign up for QuickBooks or whatever, you only get one general ledger. But with a fund, you need dozens of general ledgers, right? So normal accounting systems don't work. To the best of my knowledge, and that we keep relatively up to date, nobody has this. Carta doesn't have it. They use spreadsheets and all this stuff. Nobody's built an end-to-end accounting system for a fund that has everything. Okay. So to give you, what does it mean it has everything? Let's say you want to do a capital call, right? So I can go over here. There's lots of ways, or go over there, right? It may take, and then I just hit start a new call, right? I can enter the amount that I want to call as a percentage. It updates all the numbers, shows the amounts. I go down here, maybe type a note to the LP, hit start a call, done. That's it. Emails go out, reminders are sent. for any manager that's had a fund before, you'll know how crazy painful it is to do a capital call, right? And then, by the way, as people wire and stuff comes in, it gets updated. You can see who did it, etc. Right? I'll just show one other thing, and then I'll go back to. So if you're looking at one of the other cool things about it is that, and these are all, this is demo data. Everybody has, every LP has their own dashboard, right? So LPs can log in and they have to Decile Pro and they can see how the fund is doing. They can get their TAP document, anything you, and in order to give an LP a document now, you don't have to email them anymore. You can just drag the document into their folder and it will appear in their dashboard and send them an email that there's been a new document. There's so much more to show here. I want to just show a couple other things. We also have one of the best AIs out there. So, you know, as you can see, some great questions down here. But you can literally ask it anything like, what is QSBS? So you could see a document or something and say, it said QSBS. What does that mean? Right? Oh, that's what it means. But if you ask it something like, who is Taylor Swift? Let's see what happens. Hopefully it will say, yeah. So exactly. It can't. So what it only answers things that it knows. It's not these bullshit generators, excuse my language, that you, or hallucinating LLMs that like kind of try to please you and give you an answer even if it doesn't know it. It only answers things that it confidently knows, and it knows pretty much everything about venture capital, about starting a fund, about tax, about domiciles, about, you know, like waterfalls. What is the American waterfall? So you can literally ask it anything about VC and it will answer it. And by the way, you don't even need to get it spelled right, but I'll spell it right for you guys. Where I'm getting here is that not only can it answer these type of questions, but it can help you develop a plan. So I want to close in 4 weeks. Of course, I'm using a new keyboard. So what should I do? What should I learn to type next? What should I do next? Okay. So you can ask it like questions about strategy that you might go to an investor or advisor, a fellow investor or advisor for closed environment. Okay. So it will tell you all sorts of things like strategic planning, time, all this stuff. It is amazing. And it's built right in to Decile Hub so that you can ask a question. So if you see what is committed capital, like, I see this thing, what is committed capital, right? You're right here on the page, boom, it pops it up over the page and it tells you what things are. In fact, it will even tell you how to use this product and what we're working on that's really, really cool, right? And let me see, I'm going to show you some skunkworks stuff that we're working on right now. Let me just make it a little smaller. So we're implementing AI now to do complicated things like, and set and pretty much anything. So you can tell the AI what to do and it will do it. But like, here's an example where it's going to help you with a thesis. So basically what we've told it is, hey, help someone with a thesis. Here's what a thesis should look like. And then what it does is the system goes and says, oh, this is what a thesis should look like. I need maybe a form to get some data from the user, right? So it takes a little bit because what's happening is unlike it's creating, okay, check this out. So this, interesting, right? It pulled data from the system and tried to figure out what my thesis might be. And then it says, this is what I think your thesis should be. Do you want to update it in the system? Now, interestingly enough, it made all this stuff on its own. So the AI knows our system. The AI knows the UI, the back end, so it built that form itself. There is no form like that anywhere else on the site. And if I were to do this again, it might give a slightly different form or a slightly different way of going. But the point is that it's able to dynamically build information based on what it's able to collect and then dynamically update the system based on what you say. So where we're going with this is maybe not fully by the end of this year, but a lot by the end of this year. You're not going to have a UI anymore, right? Because what's going to happen is you'll just tell it what to do. All right. You'll just say, I need a thesis. Make me a thesis. And the AI will do that, give you different versions. You'll pick one and it will update the system. But there's even more. And I want to go through some new announcements and then take your questions. So get your questions in the Q&A. We're building a global LP network and we're channeling those LPs into your firms and funds. We just launched the LP Institute. It's a training program for limited partners. We limited it to 50. I think we have 52 that enrolled. They're planning to invest roughly 350 million into new and emerging managers over the next 12 to 18 months. Okay? We're going to help direct that money into worthy firms from the network. Okay? There's nothing like this in the world today. And if someone tells you that they can introduce you to LPs, they're full of it, right? Because they can't. And it's illegal. But we have come up with a system to do it that's not only legal, but working, okay? And we have more than one. We have more than one way to introduce you to limited partners. In addition to that, we built a deal flow sharing network. So right now, excuse me, there are deals that are what we call 100x deals, right? We're seeing companies that are getting 100x valuation increases in 12 to 18 months. So if you put in X amount in 12 to 18 months, there are businesses today that are 100x, okay? Now, that has not happened since the dot-com boom. It's really, I mean, it's happened maybe since the dot-com boom to today. You could count on one hand the number of companies where that's happened, all right? If that. And it's happening pretty regularly now. And we're working with the entire network of 450 funds with about 70 funds currently enrolled to find those deals and to share them internally first so that the network gets advantage of these 100x deals first before they go out to other investors. Because we're here to win by 2 to 5 times. We're not going to make you a little better. We're going to make you number one, right? We're called the decile group, top decile, top 10%. We don't want average. We want the best. And we're going to help in any way we can in getting these 100x deals syndicated out to the network so our funds invest in them, not other funds, is one way that we're doing it. And we're about to release an event platform, again, integrated with everything else, so that you can host LP dinners, LP events. You can host events to syndicate deals. You can host events to find founders. And as founders come in or LPs come in, they get added right to your pipeline, and all the automation tools to follow up with them are there. So this is a way for you to grow your networks very easily without using like Eventbrite, DocuSign, Affinity, and all those things cost. You didn't need an event system that long ago. Eventbrite was free. Now they're charging $100 or so per event, right? It's expensive. It's not integrated, blah, blah, blah. So we're adding it. That's coming out this week. And we, in the forms I showed you, as I brought up, we have integrated digital signatures that work everywhere in the world. So you can put all your financing docs in a form. You can put anything that needs a signature, venture partner agreements, and we have most of these things already done for you. But if you need something special, it's very easy to do. You can build your own digital signature form integrated with the pipelines, etc. So I know there are lots of questions. Get your questions in the Q&A. Neil, start filtering the questions. I'm almost done.
Yep.
I want to leave you with a couple of thoughts in closing. Hopefully I've, even despite being sick and everything else, I've conveyed to you how exciting a time it is to be investing right now. If you were ever thinking to launch a fund and you don't do it now, you will kick yourself in a few years' time, because the next Sequoia, the next Draper Fisher Jurvetson, the next insert seminal fund name, some of which are gone, by the way, will be born right now. Okay. I'm almost 100, as close to 100% as you can be with a healthy level of doubt. But I'm pretty sure that the seminal firms of generations are going to be started right now. And a lot of the big seminal firms are kind of struggling, which really means there's this disruptive moment in the industry anyway, because they did a terrible job of succession planning, right? So we're here to help. We think that this change is needed. We need change. And so please, everybody, join us for Cohort 14. We'd love to help you. It is free. We're here to help. The tools are free. Everything's free so that you can win. All right, let's do some questions. Niels, you want to pull it up?
Yep. Most upvoted question comes from Darshan. What are the criteria to get into cohort 14 and what makes for a good candidate?
Look, it's not going to be easy to get in. All right. Right now, I think, what is it, 1820? Not, or yeah, 1,820 people started applications, and we have 2 weeks to go to the final deadline. We pushed the final deadline out just because by a week, but it's 2 weeks from now, so it's very soon. It was going to be on Monday actually, and we said, we got to give some people a little extra time. So the first thing is apply now, because that final deadline, it's going to be up to 23 to 2,500, and we do rolling admissions. So just getting your application in now gives you the best chance to get it. Sooner is better, period. In addition to that, some investing track record really helps. A good thesis really helps, like put some work into thesis, be clear about what you want help with. So just take the application seriously and your chances of getting in are pretty good, right? I mean, they're not great, but there are people who half-ass the application, and unless they have like an incredibly stellar background, which rarely happens, most people who have stellar backgrounds do a good job on the application as well. So really, it's, if you do a really good application, you're already in the top 25%, and your odds are pretty good to get in.
Daniela's question is somewhat tied to this. What components do people need to have in place prior to starting in the program?
Nothing. You're going to get, a lot of people had nothing and got to a close in 4 months. So you don't, I mean, if you have an angel investing track record, if you have a network that includes some limited partners, those two things will help a lot. But you really don't need anything. You just need passion to start something, invest in things that matter, make the world a better place, and we're going to try and help you. Now, we can't help everyone, but we're going to try to.
Are we required to raise 10% of the fund within 4 weeks from the beginning of the program to stay in the program?
No, but 4 months, yeah. So you got to rate. Look, we've made the program harder by making mandatory fundraising requirements. And there are 3 milestones: the thesis review, the presentation review, and the pipeline review. And so you need to have some commitments at the thesis review, roughly 5% and we do vary it cohort by cohort, but roughly 5% at the presentation review, and then 10% at the pipeline review. The pipeline review is at the 4th month. So look, if you can't raise 10% of your fund in 4 months, then you're never going to raise a fund. Never, right? Just do the math. It will take you eternity, right? If it takes you 4 months to get 10%, it's going to take you 40 months to close the fund, right? Like, that's insane. You're going to be like, much older when that happens, right? You'll miss the entire boat. So actually 10%, now admittedly you're starting from, the reason it's not more than 10% is that you have other things to do when you're getting set up than fundraise. You got to get your materials in order, all this. But you need to be raising roughly 3% a week to close in a year because they're fundraising doldrums. So we're pushing you to close on capital because that's what you need to do, right? In order to be a manager, you need money. So I realize they still have the screen up, so I'll stop that. All right, let's keep going.
How important is a referral when applying when you don't have any background in venture capital?
If you're referred, it will help a lot. If we know the person that is there, we'll say, all right, so and so referred you. This is your referrals matter a lot.
Andrew's asking, why do funds close faster with VC Lab, and what's the median amount closed and in what time?
Well, it's 10% or $1 million. So the median could mean a lot of different things. Like, what's the final fund size? What's the first close? So I'm presuming it's the first close. So the first close, I forget the exact number, but I think it's like 1.6 or 1.8. Do you know, Niels? Maybe you could look it up. I think.
Sounds roughly right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then in terms of why it's faster, it's look, raising capital is a momentum game, right? You need to do a series of things in order, build the momentum, and close. A lot of people do things out of order. They don't build the momentum, so it takes them forever to close, to 18 to 24 months, as we discussed in the presentation. So we just are like, do this, do this, do this, do this, right? And it's like sequenced perfectly, right? And we're helping you get momentum so you close, right? I mean, it's 4 times faster. And I get it. Look, if you don't have a program, a strategy, and like we've been doing it for a couple of years, we know exactly. And before that, we raised lots of funds. So we used to close the entire fund at Founder Institute in 3-4 months. So we just took all of our learning and now helping thousands of managers and hundreds of funds. And we're constantly updating the curriculum. In fact, we cut a month off, right? Because it wasn't needed, because we're getting people to a close faster. So we're constantly updating the curriculum. We just know what you need to do to close. And if you don't have that type of guidance, support, etc., it just takes forever.
Evan's asking, if you've successfully completed your finalist sprint, when can you expect to hear back from us?
Yeah, so we've given someone a sprints that if someone's on the bubble, we say we'll let you in if you get packs. If you've gotten commitments from limited partners, just email in and say here they are, and we'll let you in, right? Assuming we check everything. So if it's not real, we won't let you in. But assuming it is real, we'll let you in. Now, that's not everyone. There's some managers who are like, yeah, we gotta let this manager in. They're awesome. There are other managers we're like not so sure about, so we give them these We call them pre-curriculum. And if you can get commitments from limited partners, then we're like, yeah, you can be in the program. You can do it.
Nastya is saying, what if we're not sure yet if we want to start our fund or join a venture studio or VC fund? Is it
This is
too
not
early
the
to
place for you.
apply?
There's a program called the Venture Institute, which is a general training program for people who are not sure, want to enter the venture industry. So join Venture Institute, not VC Lab. VC Lab, you will close a fund. If you're not sure about closing a fund, we're gonna remove you from the program. So the program will start with roughly 300 something people and 200 something firms. It will end up with roughly 100 people and roughly 50 to 70 firms. Okay. So where do all those other people and firms go? They don't make it, right? They fail to close. This is not easy, right? You're not going into sunshine and rainbows. All right. You're launching a venture capital firm and fund. It's one of the hardest things that you can do as a human being. So we try and make it easy, and it's much easier than doing it on your own, but it's still hard, right? Like Wim Hof climbed Mount Everest with nothing. So it can be done. I don't know if I would do it, but I'm sure a lot of people who would try and climb Mount Everest without a lot of stuff would die, right? So, in my view, going it alone is like climbing Mount Everest like Wim Hof. Going with VC Lab is like climbing Mount Everest with all the gear, support, people who've done it before, helping you get there, helping you get home safe, right? But it's still hard. It's still climbing Mount Everest, right?
Kartik is based in India and is asking how relevant is VC Lab for someone based there?
Tons of funds in India. I can give you an exact percentage, but it's like a single digit percentage, like 7, 8, or 9% of all the 450 funds that we've launched are in India. We've invested in a fund in India as well. So we invest in funds also.
What is our business model?
Yeah, so we have a decent amount of money. We have investors from venture investors, including myself and others. And we make money. So we're not in it for the money. Let's just start there. Okay. We're in it to help the world. Now it turns out we're also making a decent amount of money. So we have programs that are application only that cost money. Okay. So if you want to form your fund with us, you have to apply. It has a 94 net promoter score. I believe this program's 80 to 83% VC Lab. Our back office, where we form the fund and run the things, is 94%, 94 MPS. Okay. So, but you have to apply for it. And right now, that's our primary business model. We're going to open up the SaaS platform outside of the VC Lab community and start charging for it this year as well. And so those are a couple of our business models, and things are going well. I don't know how we'll do this quarter. Hopefully, maybe we'll be break even this quarter. We'll see. We were getting pretty close last quarter, so TBD.
Yeah, this question you just answered, is Decel available for people who are not part of VC Lab?
No. So we have a waiting list of about 400 people for Decel Hub, the platform. And then we're taking referrals right now for the back office. But we're only looking to do like 10, right? So we're not open for business for outsiders. Again, we want our funds to win, right? Because then we show that the old way of doing things is broken and the new way is better, right? So we don't want to like help a bunch of people doing things the old way, because then it's not very clear that the new way is better, right? And right now it's pretty clear the new way is better. Our funds are outperforming, period, end of story. Our fund of funds is maybe the best fund of funds out there, right? So, but that's because we are investing in our community, and our community is doing really great.
Do you have access to the LP network during fundraising?
Selectively. So we work with selective people. You have to do LP fundraising on your own, right? So we're building an LP network and we're doing matching there. And there's a few different ways. If you do well and you match an LP's interest, then we'll help, obviously, 100% of the time. But if you're not doing great, or like, and there are managers that make it through the program, but they're just not doing as well as others that make it through the program, then we're not going to match you with LPs, right? This has to be a win for everybody, right? And you're going to have to raise most of the money on your own. Like, even if my vision is to be able to get 20% of your fund from our network. So if you have a $10 million fund, our network will deliver 2 million, right? That's not the case right now. And anyone who says that's lying to you, if I said it, I would be lying to you, but we are making intros that result in investments. Right? So that is happening. Now, I want to get to 20%, and hopefully this year we get to 20%, but guess what? It's 20%. You got to get the other 80%. And if we get to 20%, that'll be like a miracle in the industry, because no one's nowhere near any number like that, percentage wise, right? But you still have to get the other 80%. So, you're going to have to do your own fundraising.
We will have to go rapid fire. We're under 5 minutes left and have a hard stop. Jonas is asking, would it make sense to start Founder Institute chapter in my city and join Cohort 14 at the same time?
Yes. I mean, it can be done. It won't be easy, but we'll support you. In fact, we expect a lot of people going into the accelerator cohort will be doing exactly that. Founder Institute. And so you will not be alone, and we expect a bunch of people to do that with you.
Eric's asking, are there opportunities for people to start connecting with each other prior to the start of the program in March?
It's starting in like 3 weeks, guys.
The mixer.
Yeah, we have a mixer coming up in 2 weeks, right before. So the answer is yes, but a little bit.
I'll link the mixer, maybe.
Put a link to it. That's
yeah.
a great. I can get the next one.
Yeah.
Can we provide companies our portfolio to be part of the deal flow DB? Absolutely, but you have to be in the program. So you submit companies. We have a team, a deal flow team. One of the things we do in our premium products, in the back office products I was telling you about, we review every deal that you do. Okay, I have a whole team that will look at every deal that you do and give you a second or third pair of eyes to make sure you're making the right decision, right? That deal flow team also looks at every deal submitted, and then we prioritize deals that we think are 100Xers, and we give special attention to 100X deals. There's a deal flow newsletter coming out today to the whole network. I'm a finalist. How can I increase my chances to get accepted? No, you just wait. There's unfortunately probably 1,700 other finalists right now. I think we're 120 or 130 accepted, give or take, because there's a bunch I have to process today.
Yeah.
I review every accepted GP. Venture Studio Track, there's a question about what that means. Tracks are, you get weekly office hours with your peers. You might have a custom curriculum. Definitely the emerging manager track has a separate curriculum, and you have your own community forums and stuff like that. So it's just a bunch of additional resources for venture studios, accelerators, emerging managers, impact funds, AI funds, etc., that are available during the program to help you succeed. Do you want to get the next one?
On time. We're coming up on time. We may need to.
All right, let me leave you. I'm sorry we didn't get questions in here. What I would recommend, everybody here, if you have a question that I didn't get to, try Decile Base. We just opened up where you can become a member of Decile Base, And if you don't like the answer the AI gives you, or it doesn't have an answer, you can post it to the community. And then we have a team of experts that will answer that question for you. Let me leave you with this. I'm more passionate than ever because I see that if we work together, we can really move the needle on a bunch of grand challenges that humanity is facing right now. And I believe that visionary limited partners backing ethical venture capitalists who fund passionate founders, that triumvirate can change and will change the world, right? And that's why we do what we do. That's why we care. That's why we try. That's why it's free. All right, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, Ron.